Hello, beautiful people. So, this dream chat is going to be a really amazing and special one because we're going to talk about Pluto and specifically Pluto retrograde in relation to dreams. So, I'm really excited to chat with Alexis tonight. I'm going to bring her on. We'll also just talk a bit about dream interpretation. If you have any questions about dreams, definitely feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. If you're watching the replay, leave your questions about dreams in the comment section of the replay video. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a chat about Pluto retrograde and about dreams and Pluto's connection to dreams. Pluto is absolutely the dream planet. And so I have been feeling all kinds of energy in the kind of the build up to Pluto's retrograde cycle, which begins, I believe, on Thursday. I probably should have double checked that before I started, but yeah, it's gonna start here in a couple days. So the most important thing is that Pluto essentially is standing still energetically in its position at 2 degrees of Aquarius, right? And so that is where it's going to change direction and start to go in that retrograde motion, which is essentially from our perspective here on Earth. We see it as possibly going retrograde, but it's not really. But it's a moment to reflect and revisit some aspects of our lives, of ourselves. And in the case of Pluto, definitely the unconscious self, the inner self, and the hidden aspects of who it is that we are. So if you have any questions regarding Pluto retrograde, regarding dreams, we're so happy to have to answer them if we can. And I'm just going to bring Alexis. Thank you all for being here. Let me know how you're feeling right now as we are stepping into this Pluto retrograde very slowly. And we just had Venus and Mars arrive at home. Hello,
Hello.
welcome. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing better now that I'm sitting in front of the video.
You look beautiful.
Thank
I love that lipstick on
you.
you and that jacket.
I had to, hopefully I don't get too hot. I have the window all the way open. It's nice and cool in here, so it's not too bad. But for those of you watching, my mood has been just like, ugh, like it's been, I would say since after the Scorpio full moon, like I was so high. And then the weekend came and I just started to feel so deflated. But inside, I'm really motivated and excited about all the things coming up. But when it comes to actually doing the things, I am showing up, I'm here. So that's really important. And so yeah, that's why I decided to be dramatic tonight and wear my faux fur little coat here and yeah, and have fun and just play with the energy.
I love it. I love the
Yes,
drama.
yes. It's perfect for Pluto. Pluto is dramatic and intense and deep and dark, and
I,
we both have Scorpio, and so it just really amplifies. Like it makes things really big, and it can also make things really small. Like it tends to either go to one extreme or the other, like all or nothing. But I feel 9 times out of 10, it tends to blow things out of
yeah.
proportion. So for those of you watching, just to revisit our topic here, our purpose tonight, we're going to be talking about dreams as we always do. And we kind of just want to open up the chat to any questions you might have about dreams. If you had a dream like symbol or something that has come up in your dreams and you're like curious about it or confused, any of that, definitely leave it in the chat and we will touch on that. And we're also going to talk about Pluto retrograde and Pluto as a dream planet, or Pluto as it is very closely connected to just the realm of dreams in the dream space. So if you don't mind, Alexis, I'm just going to give a brief like overview of Pluto retrograde in
Please,
Aquarius or Pluto in general.
you're an expert
Yeah.
in this, so you take breaks.
So I'm going to make it really short. Pluto essentially is from my perspective, is the gatekeeper of the unconscious realm, of unconscious energy. And so Pluto holds access to our unconscious mind, our hidden or our suppressed memories, suppressed trauma, fears, shadow. And then on the other side, it holds the access or the key to the unknown energy or unknown information that allows us to access these deeper inner mysterious parts of ourselves that can give us insight or that have the insight and information of the quote unquote future. So when we connect with Pluto, yes, we're going to connect with all the intense shadow aspects and fears and even taboo or paradox situations or feelings within ourselves. We will also encounter the opportunity to connect to, you could say, our psychic sense, our clairvoyant ability. So we're accessing just energy that's unseen. And if you have the perspective of, even when we think about time, everything's happening all at once. There's different potentials of things. Like when you have the thought and the idea, just the thought and the idea that creates a choice or creates multiple choices creates multiple realities in a sense. So which one are you going to choose? And when you choose a choice or when you make the choice, then you are in alignment with that particular timeline, with that particular, journey and so and so having. And so with Pluto, when Pluto is, and at this point, Pluto is still direct from our perspective here on Earth, but it is at the point where it's standing still, like it looks like it's not moving. And that essentially, from an energetic standpoint, is basically, I interpret that as Pluto holding its power. So whatever Pluto is bringing forth for you personally during this retrograde cycle, essentially is you're seeing it right now, and you've probably been seeing it for the last week or so. I would definitely say with the Scorpio full moon, like from then and now in this moment and moving forward, right? Whatever's been coming up for you, that is essentially more than likely what you're going to or what you're going to visit within the Pluto retrograde cycle. And so this is just the surface level, because with Pluto, it's so deep, right? There's so many layers, there's so many reveals and such. And so yes, pay attention to what's coming up right now. So I'm going to leave that there for now, and we'll probably dig more into the astrology. But did you want to share anything, any thoughts about Pluto in relation to what I said? Alexis and I both have Pluto in Scorpio. So I'll just say, for those of you who have Pluto in Scorpio, this essentially is very what we call, it's a square essentially, because we're looking at Pluto in Aquarius, right? And so this is a conflict of let's see, where's Pluto in relation to Scorpio? So this is a conflict of action essentially, but nonetheless we're in this place of, we're being guided to step out of our comfort zone essentially, or take that leap of faith essentially. And so it's really, really challenging basically. So do you want to share anything about Pluto, or like your even your connection with Pluto? We
Well,
can start there.
one, I am feeling that just exhaustion and weird energy since the Scorpio full moon. Like, I have just been like, yesterday I was in bed all day. Like, I could not get up. I literally felt just the weight of everything pulling me down and pulling my eyes closed, like, all day. Like, it's been a trip. It's been fun. um, but I'm not super like, I'm just learning astrology, so my viewpoints, takes on it, understandings are very limited. But I definitely uh, I feel very connected to Pluto, especially it being in my first house. It's always been like, it has been my shadow for my entire life. It's always been there. It's always had an effect on the way that I've existed. I've been through a lot of challenges and rebirths. It's, that whole cycle of change and everything that goes hand in hand with that. And then on top of it, I've been dreaming lucidly almost my entire life, which Pluto has a strong um, influence on the unconscious, as you said. So that's pretty much, I'm going to say, it
Yeah.
for me right now with Pluto. Like I said, I'm just not as educated yet, but I am very much
So
interested for
does
sure.
Pluto like pull, like when you first, I don't know, when you first learned about Pluto, just those little bits of information, was there a pull to Pluto for you? Because for those of you watching, Alexis is a Scorpio rising. So she has Pluto in the first house. And so there's a very strong connection. I also have Pluto in the first house. And so I'm curious, when you first like learn, can you recall like any feelings or just, I don't, anything? Or did you just already share that? Which is totally fine.
I don't know. When I first started learning about my Pluto, which, like I said, I haven't learned too much about it, but right off the bat, reading about it just kind of, it was like that familiar feeling that you've had your entire life finally has an identity. So it definitely was eye open. So even though I felt it my entire life, when I started learning about it, that's when I really felt the connection to the two, to the series of events that I've experienced, and just how it shows in my personality,
Yeah.
because it is in my house, so it's really shining through.
Yeah. So Pluto and Scorpio have an affinity for one another. Um, I began my, so I've been studying astrology for a little over 15 years now, and it started with modern astrology. So we know in modern astrology, Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. And then I started studying on top of that evolutionary astrology, which was what my professional astrology practice that's where it began, with evolutionary astrology, and they start with Pluto. So Pluto essentially, from their perspective, which I love, they really focus on Pluto and then the lunar nodes. And there is this element of, again, with Pluto specifically, it is the unconscious self, it's the inner self, it's the repressed emotions and things of that nature. And so now, coming full circle, like my practice is pretty much primarily based in traditional astrology, Hellenistic, but you know, there's some modern aspects that I definitely bring in. And now bringing in the dream work, I absolutely see like the affinity of Pluto in dreams. And when you connect with Pluto in your chart, and it's the same, almost the same experience, the same unveiling as it is when you step into dream work, because it is really making a point to illuminate the unconscious, illuminate what's hidden. And I feel with dream work, as I have experienced, is that we go through this whole like death and rebirth process to life, and then you're constantly cycling through with the dream work and also with Pluto. And so that was like one of the biggest connections that I, you know, personally made with Pluto and dreams.
Yes.
Yeah. And so with the dream element too, and now I'm having this Aquarius moment where all the ideas and thoughts are coming through so quickly, and I'm just like, no, don't go away before it comes out of my mouth. We already talked about this. But with Pluto and okay, so yes, with the dreams, this is where I want to start. With the dreams, I was ready to access that hidden information, the psychic information. And before I was able to get to that, I was immediately hit with like the nightmares and the anxious dreams. And I will just say, not everyone's journey has to be this way. I definitely invite intensity, and I think a lot of that also has to do with having Pluto in my first house. And so I feel like that's a bit of also how Pluto works, where there is an unveiling right away of the shadow, where it's like you're like pushed through these, almost where it feels like levels of tests, but it's just like you're going deeper and deeper into the underworld, which is like the hidden part of ourselves, right? And so you have these different levels or layers in different realms, almost even that you where you uncover more and more and more of yourself. But in that experience, you're also like moving through the suppressed heaviness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I'm the same way, where I like to invite that intensity in, and not always intentional either, just naturally inviting it in, because I have gone through quite a lot in my, I'm going to say, small life. It's, everybody has their experiences. I just my a lot of my upbringing was centered around death, so I became pretty desensitized early on. So the invitation of that intensity is definitely something that has it's been there for quite some time, and it's almost like you're embracing, like, the tides. You're out in the ocean, just like getting smashed around, but you have to go through.
How deep can you go before you lose
Yeah.
yourself? And like dream work, I feel you you won't lose yourself. Like there's something that's there. I know it's speculated of a cord. I think it's a silver cord. So anyone in the chat, if you're familiar with this, like definitely share what it is. But basically there's a cord that tethers us energetically to the earth, or in this case to our body. And so a lot of people, have fears too of doing lucid dream work, because it's like, oh, if I get too into my dreams, then am I going to die? Am I going to lose myself? And so I feel that element of Pluto as well it brings up that, like, even diving into Pluto, when you start to understand what the symbolism is, what it represents, especially when you look at your chart and say you have Pluto in your first house and you have other planets there with Pluto, you're like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Like, am I going to die or whatever, And so, like, this, and I feel with Scorpio risings, Pluto in the first house, you really, like, you experience the whole metamorphosis process, like, ongoing. I have pretty much like a 3-year cycle where it's like life, death, rebirth, life, death, rebirth, and it's a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot, and that pattern just continues. And you know, I don't know if it's good that I'm desensitized or if that's a problem, but it just anymore when things pop up, it's just like,
Well, you and I are like, when it comes to the death topic, this is a perfect example, because like I mentioned, Pluto gives the extremes, right? And it gives the intensity, and it kind of can blow things out of proportion, or can make things seem really kind of insignificant. And so for you, when it came to death and being around that, and just having experiences with that in the way that you did, is that kind of what you meant by being desensitized, or maybe,
just
yeah.
continuously,
So it's
like, since I can remember, continuously dealing with one traumatic experience after the next, and just becoming desensitized to
yeah,
everything because it happens so frequently.
yeah.
At this point in my life, even though I do see the value in being desensitized, it's that, like, extreme thing where it's like, maybe I should find that balance and not feel so disconnected.
That's like, okay, so you're on to something, because I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, and Alexis and I have talked about this. I have a huge fear of death, and I feel that I'm more and more like moving towards, like you're saying, finding a balance, right? A healthy balance. But the way in which I experienced death, the way people that I really cared about died, almost like suddenly, in a sense, that really put me into this fear of death and equaling abandonment, or like, just the emotion. And I'm coming around, especially as a spiritual practitioner, to really being able to hold space and see like the beauty in death. And so I just want to share that example, but I'm going to come back around to what we just shared. But I do see Kat's
Yeah,
comment here.
actually quite a few messages
Yeah,
in there.
beautiful. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, drop your messages, questions, comments. We love to read these. So Kat says, I'm a Scorpio rising with Pluto and Scorpio too. Yes,
Hello.
we are.
Welcome to the
Right?
club.
We're all together. Oh my goodness. So I always feel the primal aspects of Pluto first, fear, survivalism. I find those play out more loudly during Pluto transits and stationings. Yes, you know what? The survival aspect. I never really even, thought about that, but that is definitely something I'm currently in experience of, and it's okay. So I'm gonna thank you for that, Kat. I'm gonna sit with that, because that's definitely something to pay attention to, especially I wonder too, Kat, you have Pluto, you have Scorpio rising, so Aquarius is stationing in the fourth house, so I don't know, what's going on with you as far as home and like your private life and things of that nature. If that, I know for me, that's something that I'm like, oh shoot, okay, I see what is being invited to go deeper into. And also with just like family and parents, that all being connected to the fourth house. So, yeah, I would encourage you all to think about where Aquarius is in your chart, because that's probably going to be a really important factor, something coming forth in reference to this Pluto retrograde, fear, survival, all of those things. All right. So, Kat also says it's like the metamorphosis becomes a lifestyle. Yes. Oh,
Absolutely. I that could not have been. It is literally like you are continuously
so
going
neat.
through like that caterpillar into moth or caterpillar into butterfly.
Yeah.
You get in your cocoon, you melt into a blob of goo, and then you rebuild yourself, and then you die, and
Right.
cycle continues. It's just like it becomes so normal. It comes like like I'm afraid of things, but they're minimal, especially compared to how I used to be, because I really, really desensitized. Like you said, I'm on that other side of the spectrum where like I'm going through all this stuff now, but I feel really tired and blasé. Like I'm not feeling any anxiety coming through. I'm not feeling like I'm in like a fight for my life. Even like I told you this morning, I woke up and my car didn't start. And I was just like,
Yeah.
guess I'll
Yeah.
ride. Like I'm just the energy right now for me is just so like on the other end, and I find that so interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this is such a crazy like experience right now. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting. Just how, yeah, how it all unfolds. I feel, with Scorpio rising, sorry guys, if you have to hear about Scorpio rising, I feel that we don't even really talk about, Scorpio risings don't really share their insight or info, or not insight, but like their personal info. So here you guys go. This is a very special live. But I feel with Scorpio risings, yes, that cycle of the death or the life, death, rebirth, it's like, I feel as soon as you get comfortable with like the life that you're in, it's like, oh my gosh, I think I have this figured out, momentum's coming, and then there's like boom, another lesson,
Yeah.
which is Pluto again. It's so hard because I'm like, I have Pluto in the first house, so it's hard to kind of like separate the physical, the whole self identity, deep transformation with Pluto, and just what Pluto symbolizes. So it's hard for me to kind of separate that, but Pluto, whew, Pluto's a whole thing. Okay, so we have another comment from Sendum 303. With Pluto in retrograde, I am not remembering my dreams right now. Pluto is in my 10th house. Does that make a difference? So,
I mean,
um,
I have to say I'm having more of a difficult time right now remembering mine as well. And I like me being on that, opposite end of that spectrum, maybe that's what we're experiencing, maybe that's how you are going into this right now, is more like desensitized and not being able to concentrate on your dream life.
yeah. Yeah, for me, Pluto or my dreams have been, I would say, yeah, they're a bit spotty. I
But
can, this is, yeah, this is like they're there, but they're just like it's hard to grasp them.
yes.
Like they're out of reach. And this is also the part of my menstrual cycle where that tends to be normal, what I have experienced recently is I've had anxious dreams and I've had what would normally be a nightmare. Actually, it didn't hit as heavy, but it was like borderline nightmare. Like I woke up with anxiety, with heart palpitations. And if this was a year ago before I started doing the dream work, I would have like had an anxiety attack and possibly a panic attack, right? And so I am just really being aware. That's one thing that's good, that you're noticing the difference within your dreams and like the pattern of your dreams, especially with Pluto retrograde. So, I mean, I would be curious, if there was something coming up for you in regard to your career or even being seen and heard. You said you have Pluto in Virgo and your sun and rising is in Taurus. So, I mean, there's a lot happening in Taurus. So, while you're not getting hit with that intense Pluto energy in the first house, you have Uranus in the first house right now. We just had a Uranus Jupiter conjunction, conjunction, which they come together, but I just feel like there's like this like tower moment of things like kind of like blowing apart but opening up at the same time. And so I feel, just from my experience, when my dreams are shoddy, I feel like maybe it's like we need to focus more on our waking life or what's going on consciously. Like maybe there's something that we need to like kind of get organized with, put some things together, or maybe, switching up or clearing your physical space, right? So that way, it's like almost like you're kind of yeah, it's just like that normal like routine or hygiene, like bedroom hygiene or like
Yeah.
just like living hygiene, right? If that makes sense.
A nice spring cleaning could probably do us all a nice little reset.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it says, she said, looking for a new job and career, currently unemployed. Yeah. So that's interesting. I think this is really interesting because I feel that the dream space or the dream work is really so powerful in the sense of bringing forth that insight, bringing forth that hidden information that will help you to direct you towards your job or like a new job or career. And so I'm curious, I definitely don't feel it's a coincidence in reference to this. You're not remembering your dreams as much as clearly, and Pluto about to begin its retrograde cycle. So there's definitely a connection there. And maybe there's where's your Mercury? I'm curious of where your Mercury placement is. Because that will definitely give more insight. Being that your Pluto is in your natal Pluto is in Virgo. But yeah, maybe there's something that you are being guided to focus on in your waking space first. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so there was something I was gonna talk about, revisit, and then we got caught up in the comments. So I want to see if I can pull that back. But is there anything that you want to add about, Pluto retrograde? All of these comments and everything are perfect. The questions are perfect. We love
Absolutely.
connecting.
Yes, thank you so much. I don't have anything. I think like I said, you're really more the expert with this topic, and though I'm learning, I don't feel as though I can contribute as much as I would like to yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I connect with Pluto, it being my ruling planet. I just connect so much with it, and I will share more as I understand and learn more.
Yeah. So what do you think as far as like the dream recall? Is there anything like, do you have any kind of insight or guidance on, just different ways in which we can, especially I feel like with the way the energy is so intense right now, like when you're in those spaces, like when your dreams are spotty, what do you tend to do?
So right now, what I'm doing is I'm writing down as much of the spottiness as possible. Sometimes that helps me actually bridge it together, because sometimes it just takes sitting down and connecting the dots to be like, that's exactly what happened. Like this is the picture. But I highly suggest, just even if you can only pick out like one dream symbol, just write it down, maybe pull some cards around it and bring that to insight. Even if you can't reach the insight that was given to you in your dreams, you might be able to continue that insight through pulling cards, doing tarot, oracle, whatever works for you. But I would say definitely write down what you can.
Yeah.
You can always go back to it later, because I have dreams that I don't remember right off the bat, and then like a day later it'll all come back to me like a revelation or something, that it all comes back to me. I'm like, whoa. um but yeah, take down anything that you got from it, even if it's
Yeah.
like, I saw a bird.
Yeah. I know it's funny because personally, when I am like, for instance, so if you guys don't know, Alexis and I are going live tomorrow on my YouTube channel at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we're actually going to have a special guest, one of my friends, Jace, who is an avid lucid dreamer too. We're going to share dreams and interpret them with one another or for each other, like give each other a dream reading. So the dream that I'm going to share tomorrow was what I had a couple days ago that was essentially a nightmare. And I'm realizing there was one figure in the dream that I felt that I encountered last year around this time, which I'll go into more detail about that. But it's funny because I haven't written anything down, and I feel like again, it's right there to grasp. And I get in this space where if I don't write it down, I just feel like, or if I don't, like, I feel if I don't write it down in the moment or right after, I guess, then it's like forever gone.
Yeah.
Oh, do you feel like even when you come back to it later and you start writing it, does it more come to you, even if it's like you write down one little thing? Do you start to
Oh
feel?
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll start writing and it'll like kind of like snowball into what I had dreamed. Even if it's not the full thing, like it kind of builds itself back up. I think too, one of the other things I wanted to add when it comes to excuse me, um, the dream interpretation and recall, with that one specific or few things that you got from the dream, if you weren't able to capture the whole thing, take the time to write down with your own intuition what you felt like that meant to you. And then also do some research and look into dream dictionaries and stuff, and look at what they are saying has to do with those specific dream symbols or objects or environment, whatever it may be. Because even if you can't get the whole dream, like really diving deep into just a little you can capture will help you. I don't know how well it'll help with remembering the whole dream, but I know that it just helps with insight in general of what you're going through and what your brain's trying to problem solve while you're unconscious.
Yeah. I know for me, when I see like just writing a paragraph, I'm like, that's not enough. But you never know, like that little paragraph can expand. Like you might have another dream later with that same dream symbol, and it will expand like the first encounter, or where what you wrote initially in reference to that dream symbol and having it come up again in another dream. So that's what I'm trying to remind myself when I end up like not writing my dreams right away.
Yeah.
All right. So Kat has another comment here saying maybe the Mars Neptune conjunction in Pisces is contributing to us being foggy and not motivated to do anything about it. It'll be interesting to see if that lifts with Mars in Aries. Yeah. So Mars entered Aries today. And yeah, no, I feel you. Man,
The moon
yesterday.
entered Aquarius today
Hmm?
too. I said the moon entered into Aquarius today too.
Nice. So yeah, I think that's a good point. Um, oh yeah, I have here when Pluto goes retrograde. So it's May 2nd. I believe that is Thursday.
Thursday.
Right. Yeah, the moon will be in Aquarius with Pluto when Pluto stations. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I definitely feel that Mars connection with Neptune, because Mars is just kind of, I feel, has no ground. And there's so many things like that that can spark the passion and inspiration within Mars energy. But then to act on that while Mars is in Pisces is just like, it's a feeling, like you feel it, but to like get things started, to put things in motion, it's just like, oh, but I want to lay in this feeling and yeah, just immerse myself in that energy. And I actually just posted on my blog a visualization in reference to daydreaming, right? And how you can utilize daydreaming to for manifestation, right? Or for um, just increasing your vibrational frequency. And that's definitely, I feel, like a Mars and Pisces type action where you can just go travel into the dream realm, like just from even a daydream experience and kind of lose yourself in that way. And hopefully that'll spark inspiration that then leads to that inspired action that we could use right now. So yeah, I'm totally feeling that energy coming up. So let's see any more things happening. All right, so I feel like my energy is deflating as it has been. Do you want to share anything about dream interpretation, about just dreams in general? If you guys have any more questions, definitely leave us there. That'll keep my energy going. Otherwise, oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
anything you want to share? Any other things?
Um, well, I guess in regards to what I mean by, interpreting your own dreams when you are having spotty dreams at this point. So I had a spotty dream the other night, real spotty, very like in and out. I was losing lucidity really easily. But one of my things that popped up was a blue tiger's eye that Urania, you actually gifted me, pulled into my dream. And there's like, I don't usually have crystals come to my dreams like that. Not in the highlight that it was. Like, it literally was in my dream, like as a protection symbol, as something to help me stay grounded and guarded and protected. So with that, I would write down just that aspect, how I felt waking up. I would look into the color blue, and I would look into what seeing geology rocks in your
Mhm.
dream is representative of. And aside from that, writing just my own interpretation.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's just as important
Yeah.
as like interpreting a full dream. And I think that it may even be a little more important because it does help with finding more of that dream in your head.
Yeah, I think the dream symbol and the emotion in reference to it is essential. Like at the end of the day, that's kind of what you need. And it will just build from there. And
Mhm.
so yeah, that definitely that's a good point. Um, so I would say for Pluto retrograde, this is absolutely the best time, if ever, to really step into dream work and to really pay attention to your dreams. Also, pay attention to your sleep routines and your bedtime routines, your bed space. This is a good time to really clear that and get it organized, clear it like physically and energetically. Um, of course, in a perfect world, removing electronics from from your bedroom if possible. That's one thing I notice is that my dreams are wild when I have my phone next to me. And that actually the night that I had this crazy nightmare or whatever it was, the anxious dream, my phone was literally right next to me. And it's funny because the way am I making this up? Am I creating my own reality or is it a real thing? But in my head too, the way the phone is like facing me, like while I'm laying down, because it's very close to my face, even though it's on the table, I just like feel like it's like beaming like weird energy at me all night, which is so funny. Um, but yeah, clearing our bedtime space is important, and then having some sort of intention if it feels true to you, if this resonates with you to do this work, because dream work is essentially directly connecting with Pluto. Like it's like you are walking up to Pluto to access the underworld or the inner mysteries of yourself.
I want to dream about being like on Pluto now. Like, right? Like,
Right.
I'm like, oh, that
It,
actually sounds like a really
there's
beautiful
literally
experience.
there's literally a heart on Pluto. I'm like, this is, I mean, it's divine love, right? It's connecting with you. But it's intense. We're intense beings, right? We can be, I mean, we hold that duality of darkness and light. So of course that's going to be what we experience when we make that intention to go deeper with ourselves. But yeah, this is such a good time if you feel grounded enough, if you feel curious or really desire healing or manifestation, and or that deep metamorphosis process that we just talked about, doing, you know, a dream, intentional dream work while Pluto is retrograde. This is the perfect time. And Pluto's actually going to station direct, meaning it's going to end its retrograde cycle on October 11th. Yes, October 11th. So right before Scorpio season, we'll have this like going into Scorpio season, because it's going to take Pluto a minute to like get, you know, back into the swing of things and in direct motion and such. And so we're really going to have this like rebirth experience and like rising of the phoenix once we hit that the Pluto retrograde cycle. So
Excited.
excited to see what's on the other side. I feel that that's going to be like my intentional, like my intention for our dream circle. I feel that I'm gonna initiate it with that. I'm gonna reflect on it for the rest of the week, but I feel like, oof, that's an intense journey, but very,
Important. Very important. The
so,
only way, the only way to get out is to
oh,
go through. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, we're not that, you know, if, you know, Pluto's also in certain astrological traditions is connected to, you know, past lives and karma and like those karmic, you know, attachments, emotional attachments and things of that. So, you know, in that reference, like we're not getting out of it. We're definitely gonna come back with those same, you know, imprints. And so we want to start to like really go through that, right? And start to like heal our um Awesome. So I just want to share really quick that this is the last week to join Alexis and I's Lucid Dream Circle. It begins the 7th, the day or the evening of the new moon in Taurus, which is going to be this like I really hope that it's like this breath of fresh air and just like this really grounded like space of just like the earth embracing us. Like the stability we need right now because we've really been going through it. And so I'm just really excited to begin Circle that day. So it's May 7th is the first day. The registration for the Circle will close this Sunday, which is May 5th. And so it's 5 weeks of these dream gatherings, dream meetings where we discuss a topic on lucid dreaming. We share our dreams, we interpret dreams with one another, ask questions, basically this kind of conversation, but we'll be sitting in a Zoom room. So we'll see each other and be able to engage directly and intimately. It's a sacred space. There will be recordings for it. And it's 5 weeks. It's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Zoom. And then while we're in the 5 weeks, we can connect via Discord. So you can have access to us like in between the meetings. So say if you have like some kind of crazy dream and you want us to see it in the group, then you can drop it on the Discord channel and it'll be there for us to connect even deeper while we're in this 5 week journey together. So if you're curious about our Lucid Dream Circle, you can visit my website, uraniauniverse.com, and you can also find access via the link in the bio. So we will be live tomorrow night on YouTube and we'll be sharing our dreams and interpreting that so you can get firsthand on how, you know, how we go about doing that, as well as you can comment and share your perspectives, your insights in the chat. We would love to have you. Yeah, is there anything else that you want to add?
no, just I'm very excited for all that is to come, and I know that tomorrow's episode is going to be really exciting, and I'm excited to hear the dreams and just kind of go through that conversation. It's going to be really really great. So come and join us and ask questions and just be there and have fun. Do the thing. Do the thing.
Yeah.
It's fun. Fun.
All right, guys, have a good night, sweet dreams, and yeah, see you then.
Good night.